Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We ask that you remain standing. At this time, I would like to introduce the senior class president, who will be the master of ceremonies for tonight as you follow along in your program. So would Eric Bertzel please come forward, master of ceremonies for tonight's program.
Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, who will be given tonight by Ishmael Soto, Senior Class Vice President.
Gentlemen of the student body, please move your heads. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Giving the invocation this evening will be Christine Lynn Barman, salutatorian.
Will gentlemen please remove their hats? We thank you, dear Lord, as we gather here today to celebrate the completion of our years at Crown Point High School. Please bless all those who are members of this class as we embark upon our separate pathways. May we always carry with us fond memories of the good times we have shared together. And dear Lord, we ask for your guidance into the future so that each of us may use our individual talents for the benefit of all mankind. Amen.
Please be seated. Giving the teacher recognition this evening will be Principal of the high school, Mr. Bruce Swanson.
Today, we are going to set precedent by instituting a new segment to the Crown Point High School graduation program. The school board and Dr. Skirka, the superintendent, wanted to recognize teachers who had an educational impact on our academic students. We asked our salutatorians and valedictorians if they thought the idea of teacher recognition was a good one. They eagerly agreed. We also asked the salutatorians and valedictorians to select a teacher who had an impact on their educational life. The selection could be any teacher from grades kindergarten through their senior year at Crown Point Community School District. Tonight, we would like to recognize 5 teachers representing 2 salutatorians and 3 valedictorians. At this time, I would like to have Dr. Skirka come forward and read the information which is on one of the plaques, and then we will ask each of the students to come forward and ask their teacher to recognize their teacher to come across and receive this plaque, which is from the Crown Point School Board. Dr. Skirka?
Thank you, Mr. Swanson. What the plaque is actually a rendering of the actual language that will be found in our school board minutes as our school board approved the recommendation of a screening committee that we have appointed each year to look at the recommendations made by staff, students, and members of the community. I would like to read the language from the resolution of commendation as found in the board minutes. Whereas the Board of School Trustees of the Crown Point Community School Corporation encourages employees, students, and patrons to participate in activities which will bring honor and esteem to them and to the school corporation, and whereas the Board of School Trustees deems that the action of, and the action in this case by the students as having made outstanding contributions to the school community performed by, and then the 5 teachers that you will find out their names in just a second will be mentioned, is meritorious and worthy of praise and commendation, and therefore be it resolved by the Board of School Trustees of the Crown Point Community School Corporation to publicly recognize said action and render it permanently to its minutes to be preserved for public posterity. Adopted this 7th day of June, 1990, and the board members signed a resolution along with myself. Mr. Swanson?
What's your program? Salutatorian starting first will be Chris Barman. Chris, introduce your teacher, please.
I have chosen to recognize Mrs. Nancy May.
I have chosen to recognize Mr. David Rosenbaum.
That was Bart Botkin. The next student is Tim Levis. Tim?
I have chosen to recognize Mr. Robert Connor.
The next student is Haley Perlich.
I have chosen to recognize Mrs. Peg Schaefer.
Our last recipient will be recognized by Tim Walker.
I have chosen to recognize Mr. Edward O'Brien.
Giving the special message this evening will be Judge Paul D. Stanko. Mr. Stanko is a Crown Point resident and judge of the Lake Superior Court, County Division, where he has served for 5 years. Before his appointment to the bench in 1985, he spent 6 years practicing law, including 3 years as a deputy prosecuting attorney. Judge Stanko was a 1976 graduate of Duquesne University, where he earned his bachelor's degree in arts degree in history and was active in campus organizations, including student government, being honored with senior awards from the university, his fraternity, and the debating society. Judge Stanko received his Juris Doctorate from Valparaiso University School of Law in 1978, and he successfully completed numerous courses at the National Judicial College and Institute for Court Management. He has been selected as Outstanding Young Man of America by the National JCs in 1984 and 1990. At this time, Judge Paul Stanko.
Thank you. I'm not used to looking out in the audience and seeing the other people wearing robes. And before I start, y'all be careful out there. I don't want to see any of you in my courtroom next Monday, all right? Fellow Crown Pointers, faculty, administrators, parents, graduates, and guests. As we gather today, we stand at the threshold of both the most challenging and most exciting era since the end of the Second World War. In 1945, my parents' generation celebrated the end of the bloodiest conflict in human history and the defeat of two great military powers, Nazi Germany, and Imperial Japan. They also confronted the beginning of the nuclear age in what we would come to call the Cold War. Since 1945, the Iron Curtain has divided not only Germany and the continent of Europe, but has also divided the free world from the communist world. The vast armies of NATO and the Warsaw Pact have faced each other in full battle array from the Arctic Circle to the Mediterranean. The possibility of nuclear annihilation, either by accident or deliberate act, seemed to constantly increase as warheads grew both more numerous and more deadly. No amount of diplomacy could bring the superpowers to reduce their arsenals and therefore the risk of nuclear war. All of this began to change just a few years ago. Where Western military might and diplomacy had failed, the weakness of the communist system forced the Soviet leadership to face the truth. It was impossible to supply their people with the goods and services they needed while also maintaining such a large military involvement throughout the world, especially under a socialist system. 10 years of failure in Afghanistan proved that even the best Soviet troops could not overcome determined resistance. Starting in Poland, the Warsaw Pact countries began to assert their own interests, at first cautiously and then with greater courage, as the Kremlin seemed unwilling or unable to stop them. The USSR had its own problems controlling ethnic violence within its borders. The Soviet economy was a complete disaster. Without incentives to produce, workers were not productive. Long lines for necessities like bread and meat were common. Russians had to wait years to find an apartment or buy a car, and if a car were available for purchase, it would be of poor quality at an unaffordable price. Fortunately for the Soviets, they had a new leader, Mikhail Gorbachev, with an unheard of ability to be flexible. If communism was not working, he would permit some capitalism. If the military was consuming resources needed to manufacture consumer goods, he would reduce military spending. If the Soviet people, after 70 years of repression, were finally demanding the right to speak their minds, he would allow them a limited right to do so. Encouraged by the reforms in the Soviet Union, it was inevitable that the satellite countries would follow suit. During the Vietnam War, the domino theory stated that if South Vietnam fell, then Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, and Burma would as well. That never proved true in Southeast Asia. In Eastern Europe, the domino theory became fact, and all in the space of just a few months. Who, even a year ago, would have believed that the Berlin Wall would be demolished, that Solidarity would elect a government in Poland, that Romania would overthrow Ceausescu, that Hungary would open its borders with Austria, or that Czechoslovakia would elect a non-communist government without intervention by Soviet tanks. Remarkably, these reforms have occurred without opposition from the USSR, and in the case of Romania, with its tacit support. The reforms in Eastern Europe have not come about as a result of any change of heart by the communist leaders. They have not unselfishly decided to put the interests of their people before their own. Rather, the changes have come because the people have demanded them, and no force on earth can stand for long against a people willing to fight and, if necessary, to die for freedom. The events in the Soviet bloc have proved that a controlled economy cannot provide for the needs of the people. Once socialism failed, capitalism was attempted without political reform. But free enterprise cannot exist without freedom, and so political reform followed. The past year is proof that even in a totalitarian state, the will of the people will prevail. In China, the rebellion of a year ago was not quite so successful. The forces of democracy, led by students just like you, lacking weapons except for the strength of their own beliefs, stared down the military might of the most populous nation on earth. The military regrouped and repressed the rebellion with brutal and deadly force. Last June's massacre in Tiananmen Square will go down in history as the beginning of the end of Chinese communism, much as the Boston Massacre marked the beginning of the end of British control of this country. The surest sign of a failed government is if it must preserve its power by force. So what do the events in Europe have to do with you? Imagine the markets that are opening up in the Soviet Union and the formerly communist countries of Eastern Europe. Hundreds of millions of people who have never owned a television or a car, for example, will gladly pay any price to buy one. It will be many years before the East Germans or the Poles can rebuild their economies to meet the demands of their own people. The Soviet Union alone has a greater population than the United States, and all but the privileged few have been deprived of just about everything. Once travel restrictions are lifted and Soviet citizens begin vacationing here, the expression "shop till you drop" could take on new meaning. Of course, other countries, most notably Japan, and the common market will also be looking to expand their markets. In order to maintain America's dominance as an economic power, we must continue to produce scientists, engineers, technicians, and skilled tradesmen in every field. We must also produce teachers to train them. The so-called peace dividend is the countless billions of dollars that will be saved on military spending as the threat of war is reduced. This enormous sum will be available for building factories, hiring workers, and producing the goods needed worldwide. To share in this dividend, you must be prepared to take advantage of opportunities. The best way to prepare yourself for this brave new world is to get the best education you can. Commencement means a beginning, not an end. Although your high school days are over, you will be learning for the rest of your lives. With the advancements of modern medicine, it is likely that most of the class of '90 will live well past the age of 100. That's a lot of learning ahead of you. Some of you will go to college, to trade school, or to the military. Others will go directly to work. Take advantage of every opportunity to learn more about your trade or profession. No matter what the job market, there's always room for the best. Go out into the real world with confidence. There's never been a better time in our history to be young. This world is yours. Now take good care of it. Thank you.
On behalf of the senior class, we'd like to thank Judge Stanko for that message. And for the first valedictorian message for the evening will be Timothy Harold Levitt.
Two roads diverged in the woods, and I took the one less traveled by. Ring out the words of Robert Frost. While individuality is a prerequisite for creativity, the vast majority of us are captives of the system and victims of the dreaded C word, conformity. We are continually silenced in our quest for individuality by the smothering force of conformity. This process begins at birth. Parents dictate every action to their children, helping to shape their thoughts and personalities as a hostage is brainwashed by his captors. Upon attaining limited freedom and gaining an awareness of their surroundings, children are confronted with innumerable peer pressures. Unfailingly, they learn to walk, talk, and act in the same manner as their friends, desiring the same toys and identical clothing. In a few short years, these same children are catapulted into the yet unknown area of schooling. Institutions of learning, instead of always promoting free thinking and development of the mind that they profess to, actually encourage conformity. Starting the very first day of school, students are inundated with lists of rules and contingency plans. Teachers bombard pupils daily with rigidly structured assignments. Wouldn't it be more beneficial to just relax for a while, accomplishing the same tasks with less tedium, a greater degree of enthusiasm, and more capacity for individual expression? As teenagers in school, we are the victims of consumer industries, which set standards of fashion and lifestyle to which we must conform in order to be considered part of the crowd. Yesterday, we proudly displayed the fashions of the dynamic duo of Gotham, but no more. Today, in the ever-changing fashion world, we discard that apparel in exchange for that of the screwball Simpsons. Upon entering the adult world, we fall further into the clutches of conformity. Work, eat, sleep. Work, eat, sleep. After falling hopelessly and helplessly into this monotonous routine, our spirit of creativity and individuality ceases to exist. Furthermore, the laws that are intended to protect us actually cause the homogenization of society. Already, we are forced to wear our seatbelts and not to smoke on airplanes. Soon to come are no choice of abortion, no private ownership of handguns, and no smoking in any public facilities. We are faced with the almost insurmountable task of attaining and maintaining our individuality while suspended in a bottomless cesspool of conformity, always trying to keep our heads above the water. Against all the odds and pressures they have encountered, a few admirable persons have managed to stay afloat, asserting their individuality. We must all endeavor to stretch our 15 minutes in the spotlight of individuality into an entire lifetime. We may only achieve success by standing up to count, not standing up to be counted. How many of us will take the road less traveled by and make a difference in society? Stay tuned. I have to go now. I would not want to exceed my time limit.
Thank you, Tim. Next will be Haley Ann Perlich.
As we leave high school, we will be breaking out of a sheltered life and entering a world where we will each be expected to stand on our own. For years, we have seen pictures, heard stories, and maybe even had a taste of the real world. But now, we are about to become an integral part of that world. Most of us, even those who will not admit it, are apprehensive about entering a world with a million options when we have become accustomed to making selections from limited choices. Now is the time for each of us to show the world what we are made of. It is not the time to play follow the leader. Many spent their high school years chasing trends and following friends, while others spent their time trying to conform to nonconformity. We now have the chance to take an individual step out into a place where our wildest dreams can become realities. We might think to ourselves, the world is already so advanced, how can I pursue something original when so much has already been accomplished? This concern can be answered by the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson. Consider that the perpetual admonition of nature to us is, the world is new, untried. Do not believe in the past. I give you the universe, new and unhandled every hour. You think in your idle hours that there is literature, history, science behind you so accumulated as to exhaust thought and prescribe your own future and the future. In your sane hour, you shall see that not a line has yet been written, that for all the poetry that is in the world, your first sensation on entering a wood or standing on the shore of a lake has not been chanted yet. It remains for you. So does all thought, all object, all life remain unwritten still. Emerson believes that each of us possesses unique qualities. If we set our sights on a goal, let us not be obstructed by people, past or present, also trying to reach the same goal. The path we choose and the feelings we experience can never be duplicated by another because we are each unique. Let us rely on our unique qualities to guide us and help us live our lives to the fullest. I would like to extend my personal wishes to the class of 1990 for a successful, happy, and unique life.
Thank you, Haley. Next will be Timothy Stephen Walker.
Instead of making a traditional valedictory speech, I would like to tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a freshman. This freshman thought he had everything in his favor. Junior high school was easy for him. His memory had gotten him straight A's without doing any work. This situation soon changed when he entered high school. But luckily, he had a math teacher who not only made him work hard, but had taught him to think creatively and independently. This freshman also had another problem. He was terrified to speak in public. For example, in his English class, he was so scared that he gave an oral book report after class rather than speak in front of 30 of his classmates. This freshman finally overcame his fear with little help from his teachers. Teachers do not teach because of the money they can make doing it. They teach because they enjoy helping people, like the freshman whom I spoke of. They get a personal satisfaction from seeing children grow, learn, mature, and change. This is the real reason that they are teachers. The students are here at high school not only to learn, but also to become mature adults. Part of the education that we have received has been from the experiences and personal lessons of the past 4 years. Letter grades are important, but growing and changing are also important reasons that we go to high school. I think that teachers should be commended for thinking of something other than making money in their career choice. They are special people. The freshman whom I spoke of earlier, who is afraid to speak in front of 30 people, is now speaking in front of 3,000. That freshman's name is Tim Walker, and I would like to thank all the teachers that helped me. They did make the difference. I'd like to make a final announcement. Our baseball team will be playing in the East Chicago Regional this Saturday. Our first game is at 12:30 versus Highland at Block Stadium. I hope all of you can come and support us. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Class recognition of achievement will be given this evening by Mr. Bruce Swanson, Principal, and Dr. Charles Skirka, Superintendent.
At this time, Dr. Skirka would like to recognize those seniors who have accomplished what the Indiana Department of Education calls the Honor Diploma. Dr. Skirka.
Thank you. First of all, on behalf of the Board of School Trustees, I want to initially take this opportunity to congratulate the class of 1990 as we celebrate your significant achievement this evening. And we wish all of you the best as you cross this threshold in your lives. May your lives be filled with success, happiness, and prosperity. Members of the Board of School Trustees, members of the faculty and staff, honored guests, parents, and members of the graduating class of 1990, I now want to recognize the 24 extra special graduates. You're all special, but these are extra special graduates who are recipients of the Governor's Academic Honors Diploma. These students will have the Governor's seal affixed onto their diplomas, and their transcripts will also reflect this distinction. These students met a more rigorous curricula, particularly in the core subject areas, and were required to attain a minimum of 47 credits in which they could receive a grade no lower than a C. We are especially proud of these students' efforts. I would like you 24 students to please stand, and we would like to applaud you. Please stand. These students will be individually recognized when their names are read during the presentation of diplomas section of this program. Mr. Swanson, principal of the Crown Point Senior High School, has certified that the members of the class of 1990 have successfully completed the course of study as prescribed by the local Board of School Trustees and the Department of Education of the state of Indiana. Therefore, officially representing the Board of School Trustees, I hereby officially verify that the members of the class of 1990 have met graduation requirements from the Crown Point Senior High School and are eligible to receive diplomas. Congratulations, alumni of 1990.
Thank you, Dr. Skirka. At this time, we are ready for the presentation of diplomas. I would remind the audience, please, we do have pictures taken by a professional photographer, which you will have proof sent home. So we ask that this area please be restricted from the audience as far as taking pictures are concerned. So at this time, I will go off to my left, your right, and we will begin with the presentation of diplomas. Before I do that, I would like to recognize one individual who has been very important to these seniors all through their academic life at Crown Point High School. Mr. Cooper
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I don't know if that's on. Go up, walk in.
Love you all.
Mr. Cooper will be helping with giving the diplomas to the superintendent. So at this time, I would like row number 1 to please stand, girls, and make their way to the podium. Yes. The young people on stage, the valedictorians, and the people, the MCs, will be recognized first. Timothy Harold Levis, Mr. Levis. Haley Ann Perlick. Timothy Stephen Walker. Christine Lynn Barman. Bart Edward Botkin. John Eric Birdsell. Ishmael Soto. Crystal Shea Adams. Elizabeth Rose Anderson. Cindy Ellen Archbold. Deanne Lynn Ash. Jennifer Atkinson. Deanna Lynn Batson. Allison Gail Baxter. Michelle Marie Beckman. Crystal Ann Bell. Jennifer Lee Benson. Catherine Elizabeth Benton. Rebecca Marie Bykoff. Rochelle Elizabeth Blankenship. Grace Marie Blanton. Jill Ann Bolkovets. Jennifer Rebecca Bostian. Kimberly Lynn Bradley. Lori Lee Brawley. Lydia Antonia Bushimi. Nancy Catherine Bucher. Tracy Ellen Bolt. Amy Nicole Bunch. Monica Burashi. Terry Lynn Butler. Row number 2, gentlemen. Eric Christopher Abraham, excuse me. Timothy Harold Addison. Christopher Jason Aldridge. Michael Allen II. James Anthony Alvarado. James Brian Anderson. John Anderson. Anthony Raymond Anello. Receiving an honors diploma, Brian David Archer. Joseph Michael Bannock. Joseph Michael Barbo. Receiving honors award, John Calvin Barber, Jr. Darren Joseph Beck. Christopher Lewis Benson. Is it Burnett? Burnett. Christopher James Burnett. Robert W. Bykoff, Jr. Jason Anthony Billows. Brian James Bodemer. Gregory Allen Bradley. David Allen Burrow. Joseph Matthias Butts. Girls, make your way. Penny Cadle. Tina Tinsley Caldwell. Elizabeth Ann Candela. Andrea Lynn Charters. Catherine Ann Charters. Susan Lynn Choate. Brenda Lynn Lee Clemens. Receiving honors diploma, Janelle M. Coe. Tammy Lynn Cook. Julie Melissa Cox. Mary Marguerite Elizabeth Crawford. Janine. Lisa Janine Cunningham. Jakowski. Joy Lynn Jakowski. Wendy Ann Dalton. Jennifer Ann Daly. Dawn Marie Dawson. Wendy Lynn Deal. Jamie Elizabeth Demon. Amy Lynn Denham, Pamela Sue Dick, Laura Christine Dimitrioff, Julie Kathleen Donovan, Genevieve Suzanne Doolin. Gentlemen. Camarina. Mark Camarina. David Ryan Cash. Gary Edward Kalk. Cebular? Cebular. Vince Cebular. Donald Eugene Christian Jr. Michael David Chrysler II. Patrick Gerard Cicero. Jeffrey Scott Kleitz. Jason Paul Coburn. Mark Anthony Cornejo. Brian Keith Coslett. Scott Joseph Coaster. Brian Douglas Craig. Kreider. William Patrick Kreider. Matthew Patrick Crawley. John Cummins. Dave Del Santo. Joseph Paul Dornell. Patrick Thomas Davis. Tessin Mansour Dia. Cherub Diradata. Timothy Drew Donnelly. Paul Edward Dornan. Michael James Dowd. Girls. Diana Marie Drangmeister. Receiving honors diploma, Dory Elizabeth Rosa. Jane Ellen Edwards. Jennifer Lynn Elizondo. Don Marie Ferris. Middle name. Deborah Dean Feller. Angelique Marie Farrow. Amy Beth Flannery. Wendy Alyssa Fletcher. Christina Lynn Forrest. Christine Ann Fangella. Lisa's not here, right? Okay. Tammy. Tammy Marie Gall. Doreen K. Galloway. Catherine Lark Gaston. Karen Ann Gillis. Thalia Christine Garrigus. Excuse me. Nicole Lynn Glynn. Anne Marie Gold. Robin K. Gooddale. Gouldy. Jennifer Lee Gouldy. Tammy Linnell Greer. Gentlemen, Steve S. Dovelis, Jared James Dowdy, Andrew John Dreyer, Erics, Brett N. Erics, Corey Richard Evans, Keith Evans, Tracy James Farrell, Brian James Flaherty, Michael Patrick Flannery, receiving honors awards, Thomas Clifford Fleming, Paul M. Foley III, Robert Kenneth Foreman, Troy Michael Forney, Fronick, right? Jeffrey Reed Fronick, William Michael Gallagher, Gary Miller Galloway, Jeffrey Allen Gang, Patrick Howard Gorby, Matt Gerald Greeney, Michael Frederick Grubbs, Lance Jason Gunter, James Allen Hall, Steve Anthony Hampton, Timothy Charles Hart. Girls, Corin Elizabeth Gray, receiving honors diploma. Hillary Elizabeth Hagerman, Beth Ann Halfman, Sherry Lynn Hall, Dana Eileen Hardy, Krista Barrow Heidbreder, Kathy Ann Henning, Georgie Janet Heron, receiving honors diploma, Danielle Marie Holloway, Brenda Lynn Hyatt, receiving honors diploma, Julie Ann Jakimzak, Jennifer Lynn Jacobs, Dawn Marie Johnson, Karen Johnson, Melissa Ann Johnson, receiving honors diploma, Jacqueline Michelle Kaminsky, Alexandra Kadich, Kasmer, Christine Marie Kasmer, Kesey, Twyla Renee Kazee, receiving honors diploma, Christine Marie Kenbach, Jennifer Lynn Knudsen, receiving honors diploma, Jennifer Koenig. Gentlemen, come forward. The remainder of the student body will be named by the assistant principal, Mr. Schrader.
Okay, Jason Michael Harrington.
Dale Frederick Hartzell. Michael Thomas Avranick. William Hawkins. Eric John Hine. Jerry Heward II. Michael Lewis Hiskus. Lionel Merrill Akbam. James Brian Hoffman. Richard Holt. Todd Allen Hooker. Scott Allen Hubbard. Gregory Dwayne Ivy. Charles William Jewett. Shane J. Jones. Bailey Lewis Cash. Rodney Cash. Richard Scott Kelly. John Rutherford Kemp Jr. Forrest Wayne Kinker. Michael Patrick Kramer. James Darrell Price. Philip Nathan Kravickas. And girls, please come forward. Danielle Christina Coy. Tracy Ann Kozlowski. Lisa Eileen Krajewski. Keitra Nicole Keenum. Christina A. Karras. Kimberly Michelle Larson. Megan Therese Lesnick. Amy Rose Lobodinsky. Julie Ann Lobodinsky. Denise Suzanne Losi. Jennifer Lynn Long. Nancy Michelle Lowry. Megan Lombarkovsky. Rebecca Joy Lyons. Heather Lynn McCarthy. Lucia Ann Rebecca Malone. Carrie Ann Marie Mandros. Tina Marie Manley. April Joy Matuzak. Brandy Lynn McGrew. Karen Michelle McKinney. Joy Mailing. Christine Ann Meyer. Christine Lee Machowski.
and gentlemen, Jane Lefevre, Frank Ronald Laporta, Todd Eric Leonard, Peter Arnold Lopat, Jason Craig Lescava, Dennis John Matuziak, Kevin Darrell McKenna, Jean Vincent Liebert, Christopher William Merritt, Russell Allen Morgan, Steve Paul Nichols, Albert Noak, Charles Herbert Noonan, Shannon Nutter, Shorin Gavri Obradovic, Charles Patrick O'Brien, James Stephen Organ, Christopher Anthony Ortiz, Elise Fagan, Matthew John Parker, Christopher Scott Pizzera, Honors Diploma, William Adam Phelps, Elliot Michael Pierce, women, please step forward. Diane Nadine Monroe, Elizabeth Ann Marino, Nancy Jane Murray, Tracy Gail Mislevic, Julie Ann Noonan, Natalie Ann Novacek, Tina Elaine Ochiltree, Julie O'Connor, Jennifer Marie Panazzo, Teresa Renee Pappas, Julie Dawn Parlos, Tina Louise Pease, Christine Marie Peters, Shelley Ann Peters, Katie Lee Pickup, Heather Estelle Pride, Sally Ann Quaisbarth, Christine Lee Rachel, Tamara Sue Raker, Cora Louise Retzloff, Marcella Marie Reese, Deborah Marie Reddick, Patricia Louise Rhodes, Shannon Gail Riley, Eric Richard Pierce, Jeffrey Aaron Poling, excuse me, gentlemen. Okay, Shannon, Gail, Eric, Richard Pierce, Jeffrey, Aaron Poling, Michael Edward Pouch, Richard Charles Powell, Michael Lee Reagan, Robert William Rainford. Dean Wesley Ritchie. Ellen Ricky. Aaron Lloyd Robertson. Christopher John Rogers. John Henry Roster. David Rudak. Joseph J. Santelic. Christopher Robert Schuster. Martin Avery Scribner. James Christian Sefton. Michael Paul Shoemaker. Robert M. Simcoe. Aaron Lynn Sparrow. David Howard Starr. Christopher Elam Steele, Honors Diploma. John Michael Stilson. Matthew Philip Stowe. Mark Eugene Stolte. Jennifer Lynn Roach. Renee Lynn Robato. Annette Louise Rutherford. Cheryl Lynn Sasek. Sonia Caroline Samuelson. Jennifer Lynn Saylor. Evelyn Lee Schaefer. Christina Diane Shershow. Sarah Lynn Schmidt. Caroline Susan Shainfeld, Honors Diploma. Alicia Jill Seif. Christina Marine Seggi. Tiffany Nicole Sinzig. Kimberly Jo Sepio. Michelle Lee Shields. Tracy Ann Cervic. Anne Marie Smith. Jennifer Ann Smith. Lisa Marie Smith. Jolie Renee Sparks. Deborah Lynn Stefankowitz. April Dawn Stevenson. Marcy Ellen Thaugat. Amy Joan Thompson. Gentlemen, Joseph Charles Swetnoff. Corey Ellen Sostek. Randall Wade Taylor. Damon Christopher Tice. Stephen Michael Tonelli. Paul Brian Urbanski. David Andrew Vorwald. Michael Eugene Webb. Dave James Welch. William Arthur Wigmore. David Calliam Williams Jr. Philip Wayne Willis. Thomas William Wilson. Dwayne Edward Winstead. Eric Matthew Zachewski. Jolie Ann Thompson. Alexandra Florica Toma. Marcia Marie Zuklis. Nate Bakirasambun, honors diploma. Crystal Jeanette Valandingham. Christine Ann Vier. Christine Lynn Vakusek. Wendy Soon Walberg. Joyce Elizabeth Webster. Shayna Shirley Wild, honors diploma. Catherine Louise White. Rebecca Jo Wiles. Ellison Marie Williams. Holly Christine Williams. Stacy Lynn Wilson. Stacy Lee Wilson. Julianne Wise. Melissa Lynn Wood. Sharon Marie Zakvia, honors diploma. Stephen William Toll. I would also like to read the names of the non-participating graduates: Richard J. Barkowskis, Larry Wayne Batchelor, Katerina Brasovan, Dale Dean Daniels Jr., Howard Scott Flynn, and Nicole Frey.
As we are leaving here tonight, I would like to ask the universal deity to guide and help the class of 90 in its endeavors, whether you may be entering or continuing your studies in college or entering the career world. I also ask that we be given the wisdom to better this world and protect our degrading environment, which has been tainted by man's short-sightedness. I hope for this not only for ourselves, but also for future generations. My best wishes are extended to you as we enter a new phase in our lives. Live long and prosper.
Gentlemen of the student body, you can put your hats on. The student body, please remain standing. If the students on stage will please make their way off to the right and stand in front of the stage, please. Student body, if we could show through the final enactment of graduation, would you please take your tassel in your left side, bring it over to your right. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, I now present to you the graduating class of 1990.